Hello. Happy early Memorial Day
Hey,
weekend, everybody. I am Mikey G. Here of Hellfish Haven, here with Travis, and we are War, Travis.
that's right. 40 Mike, how you doing, man?
Doing good, a little technical difficulties to begin the evening. Just always happy to make it through it and be on that other side, to be live and talking to folks.
Absolutely.
And I do want to start us off with a good story tonight. Nice
Okay.
little video clip I want to add real quick. Add here, add file. Down. There we go. Just uploading it real quickly. And all of a sudden I went on the Twitch lot and saw a nice little encouraging video of a Marine coming back into service after a break in service. So I'm gonna let the video.
Right hand, repeat after me. I state your full name.
I, Johnny Joseph Jones,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same.
and allegiance to the same,
That I will obey the orders
that I will obey the orders
of the President of the United States
of the President of the United States
and the orders of the officers
and the orders of the officers
appointed over me,
appointed over me,
according to regulations
according to regulations
and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
That right there was a double amputee coming back in to serve his country.
Damn.
The man said, hold on, I got a little more to give.
How's that work though? For runs and humps and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know.
He's just got, double prosthetics, so he's got, the capability to do it. But I would feel like it's probably, he's got that profile that will limit what he's able to do. I think it said in the article that he was going to go into like the media relations of the Marine Corps. So I think he's going to be, doing like, PR stuff, being able to show, hey, this is the spotlight on the Marines in action from a Marine that's, been there. So that way he can, he can ask the right questions, highlight what's going on, and be able to say, hey, this is what's happening in my Marine Corps these days. And then also we've got this weekend, North Attleboro is going to be doing their Memorial Day services on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And then following that in North Attleboro, you can come right over to the VFW there, where Hellfish Haven will be set up, and we'll have our coffee and camaraderie going on. We'll have some free honeydew donuts, some coffee, bagels, muffins, the whole, kit and caboodle. That way folks can enjoy what we've got out there. And then after that, play some games, hang out, share some stories with other veterans. That way, you have the kids there playing video games. You can play board games, play card games. You can sit at the bar and have a cup of coffee and, grunt, whatever you want to do to, get out of the house and do something this weekend with your fellow servicemen and women to live a testament to, honor those that, aren't able to do that this weekend.
Good stuff. Very
now,
busy.
you're going to be starting off, C-SPAN this weekend?
C-SPAN, yes, at 8 o'clock Saturday morning.
And what were you doing there?
So this will be my 5th time on C-SPAN. So they generally open it up with like a kind of, state of Oscar Mike radio, what I've been doing in veterans advocacy. And then the majority of it is questions I take on air live from people across the country. So you never know what you're going to get. Some people just want a voice to hear them and acknowledge them. Some people have, you know, good stuff to say. And a lot of people use that time to express displeasure at certain things. And, I'm an easy big target to aim that at. So it's good in some ways because it you get to see a different side of it. It's also good because wow, it's 45 minutes of national airtime. And then for me, I'm thinking, wow, man, this is the fifth time they've asked me to come on, and I feel really good about that. So it's becoming a Memorial Day tradition. It's a good way to start off the day, and I think C-SPAN provides a valuable service to people everywhere.
And then the raising the funds in the van that completed. You guys were able to.
That is completed. They actually got so many donations. They are now starting. I think the town's going to vote on it. The select board is about creating a veterans vehicle fund. So if the vehicle needs repairs or something, as an upgrade or something later down in its life, there's a fund to pull it out of to pay for that. So the van will, run and provide that much needed travel service for veterans. And a lot of people, people don't understand, Mike, and you know this very well, that if you miss like 3 VA appointments or 3 VA appointments in a row, they can drop you like that. If you can't come, they're not going to keep you in a system where you're not going to use it. And so this is important to a lot of people.
I don't think a lot of people really understand that, when they're going to these, appointments, and when, people are always like, I can't stand the VA. I'm so mad at them for this and that, a lot of times, these wounds and these reasons that the VA is bad to some folks is because it's self-inflicted, wound, it's something that, guys did personally that, that has caused the trouble for them with the system.
Yeah, I tell people, I mean, you can't be a jerk to the medical staff or administrative staff. That'll get you on a list. You can't not be compliant with treatment. That will also be noted. And here's the other thing I'll tell anybody who's using VA care or thinking about it is they look at everything. They look at how you're dressed. They look to see if you've been taking care of yourself. I looked at my notes one time from going to the VA, and hey, he wore sweatpants one day and shorts the next day, and it was cold outside, so I was concerned about him wearing shorts. They capture interactions with you and your provider. So, that's all taken in, and somebody reviews it somewhere sometime. But also look at it like, hey, these are professionals that could be making a lot more money in the civilian realm, but they're here trying to take care of us. As long as you treat me with respect, I'm going to meet you halfway and let you do your job.
Yeah. And the big thing that I always see too is like, if you go in and you're having trouble with, a doctor or provider, you can always ask to, be seen by a different one. There's so many, we're fortunate in the region that we're in that we do have multiple campuses. We do have, multiple VA facilities that you can go to. If you're not, doing well with the care in Boston, you can go over to Bedford and, and change providers and change care. You do have that opportunity. But some folks, out in other states, other parts of the world, they've got to drive to get to their VA. New Hampshire, for instance, they just got, one system, one group, and even at that, some of their care they have to come to Boston to get.
Right.
So it's like, we're fortunate to have what we have with the VA and the abundance of care we have here. So it's like, take advantage of that. If you're butting heads with somebody, switch out of the care, see what's going on. The old saying, if you run into, a jerk, in the morning, that guy was a jerk. If you're running into jerks all day, you're the jerk. So,
Right.
Make sure, you're keeping tabs on yourself through all this, and make sure that, you put everything through. Like, one thing that I know that, is always tough for people too is like the voc rehab. And guys go through that program, and that is, one of those programs that is, held up by the counselors and the staff there. They do really gatekeep that program, and I don't know what the incentive is behind it or what the leadership tells them what to do, but for decades now, that program has been extremely difficult to navigate and to be able to get veterans to to use it and use it properly. It's supposed to be able to take a veteran and you've got injured and you have these disabilities that cause you not to be able to work in a certain way or field anymore, and they're supposed to retrain you and provide you the tools to get you to be on par with your civilian counterparts and be able to be sufficient in the field that you want to go into, whether that's getting you the degree that you need, getting you trade school training, getting you licenses, whether it's automotive licenses, construction licenses, permits, whatever you need to get the different training under your belts, apprenticeship stuff. And then there's also supposed to be a track for self-employment. This will be a track of independent living, for those that are severely housebound, so that way you can do things for work and and find that constructive, meaningful existence, and not just be sitting there saying, all right, I'm disabled, I'm X percentage, that's all I'm going to do for the rest of my life. VRNE is there to get you to help you find purpose and and live again after these injuries. And anybody that's 30% rated is available to get this. And if you have that one day of GI Bill still left, you can even get paid for it. So it's like these programs offer you a chance to do something and get it. But it's almost like the people from VRNE counselors only want you to do the school because
Yep.
that's the simplest one for them to work with you and to do. That's the easiest one for them to fill out a sheet and and monitor you with because they can go to the teachers and they can get a class report. They can see what's going on with your grades, your attendance, your how you're moving along the cycle of this is what you want to do and this is where your end state's going to be. And it's really just having that clean cut. It seems like those counselors really want to push you that way. Like even when I said I'm having difficulty going to school, focusing on multiple classes and things like that. What I found out later was I withdrew from courses. I took a step back and started Hillfish Haven a few years back. But before that, I was in VRNE and I was going to school. And instead of saying, "Hey, we got a way to manage your course load and everything," they just let me go. They said, "All right, see you later. We can't help you because you're going to start a nonprofit. You can't do self-employment track with a nonprofit because of two words that are in a U.S. law that says because I don't own the company because it's a nonprofit. The board of directors do that. They can't fund it. So because of that, they said all right, see you later. That's it. They didn't say let's work with you to come up with a different plan. Let's work a different avenue of approach. There was just hey thanks for applying. See you later. And what I wanted to do was be able to go out there and see how I could do something different. Could I raise funds for other nonprofits in mine at the same time? Can I do the nonprofit on the weekends and work towards the self-employment in another realm? But they didn't want to work with me on that. They let me go aside. And then when I tried to come back into it recently, 2 times they emailed me to an email I told them was no longer valid. And because I didn't respond back to those emails, they dropped me from the program. And then again, I got a third person, and they said that because I wasn't looking to go back to school in the next 3 months, they dropped me from the program. And then the next time was I applied, I got everything set up for it. And then I asked about, hey, isn't there a way that you can take less courses instead of, a full, college load to be able to do things. So they told me that with the ADHD, all I need to do is get a note from the, my medical provider, my team at the VA saying, hey, this is, veteran's diagnosis. This is what's going on. This would help them, be able to accomplish their goal, in a timelier manner, being able to, take a reduced course load. That way you can focus on it. That way you can succeed in it and be able to do that. And when you do that, you reduce the course load, you reduce the stress on you, and you're able to complete the courses. You're able to do the work that you thought previously that you couldn't, because, the stress of thinking, going to school is going to be, so much. Going to school is going to have all these things. And VRE is great for going back to school because they will provide you that, that desktop. They will provide you the, the materials that you need to be able to share, all your internet stuff, all your books, all your, a printer, they will get you all of that. Guys are getting, MacBooks, they're getting, nice, printers that are, portable. They're getting all of the stuff that they need, to be successful in school and throughout. And, depending on what you're going to school for, they can even get you more things that, relate to that, whether it's, architecture, what you're doing there, drafting equipment, things like that. So when you write it up and you apply for these programs, you really need to be descriptive in what you're seeking. Don't just say, I want to go to this and be that. Say, I want to go to this. This is what the positions are asking for. This is what I need to be successful. If I had this, I could be competitive here, here, and here. And here's how. Because that's what they want to see. They want to see those, they want to see the thought that you're putting into it. They want to see, that you're really there and available. So it's like, I just want to keep letting folks know that, don't get upset if you get denied. Go back out there and fight for it and keep, this is your benefit. You've earned it. Let's see what we can do with it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and yes, you've earned it. You've definitely earned it. And don't let anybody diminish, what you've done. So,
I know this is a question out of left field, but do you have anything on this one here?
what are
Patrick
your
Green's
thoughts
asking
on
your
Linux
thoughts on Linux.
OS? Well, I played around with Linux a lot. It depends on what you want to do with it. If you want to just try it out, see what it's like, I would tell you get the Ubuntu distros. They're the most friendly. Fedora Core is a bunch of them now. There's new ones coming up every day, but it can be a good OS. It can be.
I know too. A lot of the retro handhelds they have out there are using Linux based systems to be able to have the retro emulators to play the old Nintendo, Super Nintendo, different games on the handhelds. So you're able to I think I have one back here actually. Yeah, Billy got an Ambernick, just a little handheld. You fire it up. It's got the operating system. You got like Batacera. Same thing as if you had like a Raspberry Pi. You throw these things together, and they're little awesome game machines. And something that you can put together and play that you're not spending $500 on to put in your pocket. Like it's just how much gaming has gone up in price, and what it takes to actually be able to play modern games is it's wild. Like it's supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be something that you can go to unwind. And at times it's like I understand the competitive nature. I understand equipment costs, but when Nintendo and everybody started pushing that here's $40, here's $50, here's $60, here's $80 for a game. It's just like it's wild. It's like they're killing their own companies. I feel
it really is interesting what's going on, and I'm kind of sad because I think Bungie just announced that they're shutting down Destiny and Destiny 2, and I'm like, oh, whoa. Played that for a long time. So crazy.
I mean, like simple as right here on the you got some PS1 games that are all right available just to play. And the quality is good for what it is. It's just it's nice to be able to see. And again, you can get U.S. versions, you can get European, Japanese, all different. So that way you can play Street Fighter 2 while you're hanging out. You play all the old Ninja Turtle, Turtles in Time.
Did you know that
This-
Atari has a new CEO, not new CEO, but CEO that is dedicated to bringing back and improving the retro gaming experience, and that they actually, sold out their first tranche of, new Atari units. It's kind of crazy that retro is back in now.
So what I really like about it, like I don't like the people that like kind of during COVID went out there and were buying stuff and looking to be, let me buy, the actual copy of this Nintendo game. Let me get the Super Nintendo one. The collectors that were spending way too much and making it cost money. The guys that made it, I like people that are buying stuff so they can play it. I like collectors that are completing a collection so they can pass it on to their kids so they can play these games. I don't like to get something and hoard it so it can never be used. Like,
Right. It's crazy what they've got. I'm just curious.
when I do like playing, you see how like Mortal Kombat did a release of their cabinet, like all their games in one. Street Fighter did all their games, and even like Sega, they started giving all their games to Nintendo. They gave all their games to PlayStation. They gave let everybody use their stuff, and I'm seeing that happening a lot too. Like people are doing that because it's just to me the modern games don't have the same pull. Like I'm not seeing like when Gears of War came out, everybody was like, "Let's go play Gears of War." Like even like the Call of Duties and things like that. Like it doesn't have the same like midnight release where everybody was going to play and things like that. Or even like a new game that comes out and is like the lore behind it and the talking at the conventions and the sharing of like in social circles. Have you heard about this game coming out? This is what's next, and it's like you just don't see that as much. And like I feel like they're worried about just making remakes and remasters and repeating the same old story, just with a couple of different graphics.
Right.
And then we are getting towards that 8:00 time. So what do you got this evening for us?
Man, just a quick, it's not very long message about what Memorial Day means to me. And, I told somebody today, it's part, remembering those who came before you and I and lost their lives, salute them. It's to the Marines that I served with who died while they were, in service. Two of them were work related. One of them was on liberty. And then for me, I really thought about this year. It's the people that got out of the Marine Corps, with me, with us, and passed on. I know they weren't serving when they passed, but they're gone. I mean, for whatever reason, physical, physiological, psychological, they're dead, and I'm still here. And so, but I think the main thing is still the same: is if we take the time to remember them, they're never truly forgotten. So that's what I'm going to be about. Oh wow, we're happening in like 5 minutes here, but it's all good, Mike, and I hope your Memorial Day is good. And I'm glad you're doing the coffee thing on Memorial Day. That's important stuff to bring people together. So hats off to you.
Absolutely. And I am gonna towards the end here, I'll see if there's a way to do anything. But if anybody has any pictures or a name that they want to drop in the chat of somebody that they would like to honor and remember for this Memorial Day, go ahead and throw it in there. What I'll do is get the, let's see if I can do this. Let's make us smaller. Let's go to where's background. Let's honor the background. So if you guys don't know, this is what Boston looks like right now. This
Yeah.
there's tens of thousands of flags honoring the people of the Commonwealth that have given their life in service, and it's just it's a really great thing to see. And I'll share later on social media what's going on with um, that and how they do their thing with that. Share a little video I have of Emily planting a flag in the ground when she was just a few months old. It was really sweet to see. And so if anybody does if you've got I'll start off with Sergeant Scott. So what we do is just post like that, Sergeant Scott Miller, and then I will click it so it shares on the screen, and we'll just as Travis gonna leave us for head on to his show so he can prep. But what I'll do is I'm gonna share some pictures on the screen. If you have them, if you want to send them to Hellfish Haven on Facebook, or Michael.Geary at gmail.com. I can get them up there, and we'll also do a remembrance next week if anybody gets missed or we miss anybody's in remembrance of. But just want to roll some names, roll some pictures for the last couple of minutes here in silence in order to honor the fallen that have made an impact in our lives, and we continue to live for them. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us for this this quick little session. And when you're out there, remember it's not just about the beer and the opening up of pools and oceans and beaches. You're out there because a nation called, and that call was answered. And unfortunately, the answer to that call was the loss of life of many of our friends and family. So just keep your head up, live a life that would make them proud, and continue to do what we can to fight against the reasons that they gave their life. So thank you, Travis, and I will see
Thank
you
you, Mike.
next week, and we will
You
talk
got it,
soon.
man.
Have a good one.
Take care.
All right, I'm going to turn off Travis, and I'm going to add share screen. And there we go. We have got the first image there. I want to have that, really set up and shown. Let's see if I can do a double screen here for myself. I'm just trying to be able to watch myself a little bit here. All right, there we go. All right, come on. So we go here and then make this big. Big. So this was in Bob Danger Memorial Service. To those who died defending our great nation, rest in peace. We've gotten these were memorials that were up in Iraq while we were serving there. The Never Forget flag. You see, he's got the white for the Pentagon, the two towers. Each of the stars represents a plane, and the circle for Pennsylvania Field. If you get the chance, look up the Never Forget flag. It's really interesting how it was made. We've got these Marines lost their lives. These are some of the men and women that I had the honor of serving with. So I can pause this for a second. Stop sharing for a second. I want to get bigger picture. Sorry about that. All right. So we have got. I think I've got a video too, or two. I'm gonna add a video again here. So add a video in here, and we're gonna go. And of course, it's not open. Good. Yeah, the folks that we've lost, at home are just it's wild to see how many in comparing to the amount of people that were lost overseas. It's 140,000 gone to suicide. Folks have been home, and to see the amount that we buried there, the pain that comes home with people. The war doesn't really end. The way it's carried on. You'll see people with things like this carrying on for their brothers and sisters. This was just Scotty. Scotty Miller has a great story. Anything pull up real quick of Scotty here. Not Dropbox. I want Google Drive. So if this is gonna work, there should be a couple of videos here. Let's see if this will work. Video, see pictures. Pictures. Camera roll. And that one up. Save. That one no. Come on. All right, download. All right. So that. Why are you not wanting to play? All right, these will not play, but I'm just gonna go back to sharing on the screen, the one at a time, just so we can have a moment of silence. I'll share a quick little an image. Next one, just gonna let folks know branch of service. Sergeant Lombardi. Bishop Mike. Bonnie. Sorry, you guys don't need to see my face during this. Go, Larry. Gigi. Gigi was one of the first with us on the way home. Here's Scotty. Scott Miller right here. So what was cool about this game was I was here at the game, way up in the standing room only, and I saw the announcement that Scott Miller was going to be throwing out the first pitch of the game, and I was able to run down, and I know him, and they let me come down close to say hi to Scotty and let me know that he threw a hell of a pitch. Steve from 772 Military Police Company. Matthew Pelini, 772 Military Police Company. Fallen from 42nd Military Police Company. 42nd Military Police. Garrett Balster. And PsyOps. It's King. 42nd Military Police Company. Larry. That's Hart. Mike Bishop. Diamond. I'm ready to meet these two. We're having dinner at a Boston Function Hall for a Wounded Warrior Project event. Got to meet them, and it's just such a lovely couple. It's just it had all sorts of times, the loss is real when it happens, in the battlefield or at home, self-inflicted or killed by the enemy. No matter how a veteran is lost, the loss is felt. It was the event. My old barber, Dave Gaffey, Vietnam era veteran. He was the chaplain's assistant. Some of the other ones that they put out there. It's just wild to see it grow, When I did the Tough Rock a couple years ago, these are the names I carried with me on that voyage. These are the guys I wanted to be able to remember and to share this story as I did the 26.2 miles. I want folks to be able to see these names and be able to stop and say, hey, can you tell me about these guys? Can you tell me about Jack? Can you tell me about Doonan? Can you tell me about Garrett? Can you tell me about King? And I was happy to stop and chat with people and share their stories. Sorry if my voice is getting kind of blah. It's kind of a tough subject at times. Both these gents serve the veteran community in and out. I think the hardest part is seeing the families left behind. It's not so much burying a loved one, but hearing the story and seeing the major hole that is left in these folks' lives. This is Dave again. Sorry, but again. Just crazy. Yeah, it's doing it. So, Memorial Kent Mountain. Their motto is "Climb to Glory." My friend's cousin, again, I spoke to him, about joining the military. I was able to speak to folks, about him being in the military. I just really wish, his career, had been not so, taking of his time in his life. He was a good kid, and just sad to see gone from this world so young. PFC Matthew Bean. This is the Natick Soldiers Memorial. And the names on everything. There's Matt's name right there. Matt is the name that I carry on my wrist every day. The Battlefield Cross, helmet, boots. There's Dave again. Doing it. And that is the last one. I will check back in the comments. Sorry, it's all last time. Hello, evening, Dar. Sarah says hi, Dar. Sharing photos. And then I just want to see if I can get one last thing to open before I let you guys go. Thank you guys for sticking around who did. And I don't blame you if you guys left. It's a tough, topic to go over and to share. But I thank you guys for giving me the platform and the few moments here to do just that. It is helpful to be able to to share things with folks, and I say too much, so I need to keep an eye on that. So that way I'm able to not say it so much. All right, let's see if it's on the My Drive. This could be a good payoff for you guys that have stuck it in. You might have some interesting videos coming at your way. Yeah, videos. Video. Where's OIF? Here we go. All right. Let's see. All right, I'm doing this. All right, let's do a share screen. And you guys let me know how this one looks here.
Forward operating base Danger, a scenic fob seated on top of cliffs overlooking the Tigris River. It is home of the largest and most elaborate of Saddam's presidential sites. Located 90 miles north of Baghdad, covering over 4 square kilometers, the setting is in many ways breathtaking.
If I had to say one thing though, for sure, it's got to be the palaces. Palaces are awesome. Details immaculate. I mean, when the sun rises and sets, it just sets off the whole tone for you. You know, it's just a beautiful place. I mean, the rivers are nice around here. I mean, it's just a beautiful place to be. I mean, it really relaxes you after a hard day at work.
The fob is also home to one of the world's oldest mosques, located on top of even more ancient ruins of a church. Though the mosque has stood for hundreds of years, the palaces and retreats in the surrounding area were built only a decade ago. Fob Danger soldiers wouldn't live anywhere else.
I actually feel fortunate to be at Danger compared to the other places I've heard where they're tent villages where we can stay in buildings and the palaces.
When I got here, I was just satisfied that it wasn't anywhere that was too stressful or living conditions that were unbearable.
Saddam continued construction on the palaces at the Tikrit presidential site from 1991 until the invasion of coalition forces in 2003. Specialist Cole Ebel, AFN News, Tikrit.
So that was the base I was stationed at in Tikrit, Iraq. And then I think I got one more that should be a neat one for you guys. Let me see if I can find it. What's this one? There it is. All right. Share screen. Hold on. Share. And here we go.
Country music singer Toby Keith visited Forward Operating Base Danger to perform for the soldiers. It was a free concert where he played some of his most popular songs during the heat of the day. Toby Keith is the first musician this year to put on a concert for the troops at Fob Danger.
I think it was splendid, actually. Toby Keith, it's great to have the guy supporting the troops like he does. I wish a lot of other performers would take some initiative.
This is my house.
Yeah.
Soldiers took time out of their busy schedule to come from other FOBs just to get the chance to see and hear Toby Keith perform. A group of 1st Brigade 207th Infantry soldiers sang along and cheered as Toby played.
Had an awesome time today. A little bit warm, but overall, best ever experience. Toby Keith's the man.
The concert only lasted about an hour, but the soldiers got the chance to forget their troubles and enjoy the free concert. Reporting from Fob Danger, Iraq, I'm Specialist James Green.
All right, guys. Just want to say, thank you again. And if you see folks with a little yellow thing like this, or boy Jack, they are in remembrance. There are ways to say, we're honoring the life that, these fine folks gave us the opportunity to do so. And it's crazy that you got a lot of nonsense still going on in the world. You got folks that are, still fighting back and forth. And we've got guys that are, being put in harm's way again with the stuff going on in, Iran. But for the weekend, just honor those that are gone. Live a life that would make them proud. If you got to think about it, you're probably not doing it right. And, again, share their names, share their stories, and they'll continue to live. Be it in your heart, be it online, be it, within your friend group, within your community, within your country. Just keep sharing their stories and keep them alive. Thanks again for joining us tonight for War. We are resilient. And go check out Travis, Oscar Mike Radio. Time now.